Well, thank you for joining our Community Aquatics webinar. I guess I'll first introduce myself. We also have sort of a guest panelist on the webinar today, and then we'll go through a few housekeeping items, and then we will get started. So for those of you who are new to this webinar, I'll just introduce myself again. I know we have some repeats, which is great. My name is Abby Delaney. I am the founder and president of Key Log Rolling. Key Log Rolling has been around for, nearly 9 years now. We're a family business that we started because we love the sport of log rolling. We're actually a family of world champion log rollers, and we wanted to share this amazing sport with the world. So we created a portable synthetic log rolling log to be able to bring log rolling to your aquatics facilities, pools, and natural waterfronts all over the country and all over the world. Our guest panelist today also so graciously accepted my offer to join us at the last minute is Britta Stratford. She was the former aquatics director for the Mount Vernon Rec Center in Fairfax County, Virginia. She still works for Fairfax County Park Authority, but she's now currently the Central Services Coordinator. And she was a very early adopter to log rolling and started a log rolling program at their aquatics facility in 2014. And it's still going today with probably some hold up during the pandemic, but as is the case for most facilities this past year. I also on the side have my husband Matt as our ghost IT person in the background. So if you see me talking to someone, I'm not just talking to myself back here. And he's going to be managing the questions and feeding those to me as well. And Matt is also a log roller, and he's a new adult log roller and he's a great example of someone who learned as an adult and got pretty proficient at it, and he competes in log rolling as well. A few just, actually, no, let me just quickly say this is, so that, as I mentioned, this is our second of hopefully several webinars to come. I'm glad to see that some of you are here again. So thanks for coming back. And I also saw that several of you are signed up for some of our upcoming webinars. We really want this to be a platform to, answer questions for your different programs. We understand that log rolling is brand new for so many of you, and we want to grow this log rolling community and help you all create strong programs. And it actually, the pandemic is actually, this has been sort of a silver lining for us in the sense that, we're based in Minneapolis and we're a small but growing company. And we're excited to now have this format to be able to reach our programs and customers all across the country and the world. And so we're excited to connect with you all in this way. But a few housekeeping items. So if you have questions at any time, feel free to just put them in the Q&A, and we'll try to answer all of those at the end. If there's any really specific ones, we might just respond directly to you or ask you to send us your email, and we can send you more information on that specific question following up after the webinar. And then at the very end, if you do have a comment or anecdote or story that you'd like to share, or question that you'd like to just be able to voice, we will open it up for you to share, to unmute yourself and ask your question or give your comment at the very end. And a final housekeeping note, I just wanted to say that I actually had a baby about 5 weeks ago where he was 10 weeks early. And so we're still at the Children's Hospital. So we're in a very institutional room here at the hospital, and we're fingers crossed. I think the internet is strong, but if for some reason something were to go out, that is why. And again, we will follow up with you about afterwards, but I think that we should be all set here. The nurses graciously offered up their break room to us to be able to present the webinar today, and we're hoping we're going to be home this weekend. So we are on track, and we'll be the following webinars are still scheduled and good to go. So with no further ado, here we go. So log rolling, let's make a splash in all of your aquatics programs. I think that it's really important when you're starting a new program, starting a log rolling program, to think about what are your goals and priorities for introducing log rolling. Are you adding log rolling because you want to attract a new audience or bring in new users? Are you hoping to retain current members or users and give them something like new to, you're trying to offer something new to your to people that have been with you for a long time? Are you just hoping to generate revenue through a new program? Do you want an activity to use just for special events? Are you targeting specific age groups? Are you just trying to diversify some of your aquatics activities? I know sometimes we feel limited in aquatics between just swim lessons and lap swim and maybe open swim. Are you trying to develop a really robust log rolling program that takes people from instruction to competition and building a log rolling club, and kind of really trying to make this almost more of like a swim team part of your program? I think it's helpful to think about some of those things, because then we can help you, and you can kind of pick and choose some different programs that might be programming opportunities that might be right for you to focus on when you're first starting out. And then of course, once you get going, starting to add more programs in there. So I guess I'm just gonna actually also offer this up to Britta. If you could tell us what were some of your goals and why did you decide to start a log rolling program at the Mount Vernon Rec Center?
Well, in the beginning, I was looking for something that was different that we could offer besides just water aerobics or swim lessons. And when I was down at the NRPA Congress in Charlotte back, I think in 2014, I saw Abby on the floor, and she had this wonderful, small, portable, inexpensive piece of equipment that I could use. And honestly, it was just a purely selfish reason. I wanted to be able to use it when I wasn't working, but it was very well received, and we really enjoyed having it come to our center. You're muted, Abby. You have to unmute.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Great. Can you hear me? Okay, sorry. I have two screens and I'm couldn't find my mouse. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Yeah, and I think that tends to be something that a lot of people say, like I said, there's sometimes we feel limited with some of our aquatics facilities or aquatics programs. And this is something very new that we should think about. And it's really different than a lot of other aquatics programs in terms of the audience that you can attract. Okay, so let's see. I'm having a hard time shifting here, Matt. Hang on here, folks. For some reason, it won't let me. There we go. Okay, got it. Okay, so when you all are first starting, we just wanted to offer some, again, this webinar is all about just giving you some tips and tools to get started. So we just wanted to, I think it's helpful to kind of like break this down a little bit into some steps. So when you get your logs, we also have all these materials ready for you. But I think it helps to just think about this kind of new program checklist. I mean, of course, training your staff, and I'll talk about this a little bit later. But You do not need to have expert log rollers on your staff. And I think Britta actually has an interesting story that she can share about how she found some of her staff, um, which I'll open it up to her later about that. But you do, they don't need to be experts, but you do need to give them some training. So that's the first thing. Get your key logs, introduce this to your staff, get them on board and make them feel comfortable with it. The next thing to do would be to schedule a first few just open try it sessions for people at your facility. Again, log rolling is so new that people might not necessarily be coming in and asking, hey, do you have log rolling? Because they don't necessarily even know about it yet. And so you need to, get the word out there, and have people just come in and give it a try and some open rolling sessions, and to then encourage them to sign up for those, lessons, encourage them to, purchase a log rolling rental for their pool parties, or to schedule, a team building activity, with their staff group, or um, you know do a log rolling event or something like that. So just get people in the door, trying to kind of showing them that you have log rolling at your facility. Another really big important thing to do, again, to get the word out to your local community, and I think that this is a really fun one. And again, I think Britta has some experience with the local media coming to their facility to give log rolling a try, is to, like I said, invite your local news media to come give log rolling a try. They always love like sending the weathermen out to do the weather at the pool or at your beach. It's so visual, that they, it doesn't take much to get them there. And we do have a sample like press release that you can just put in your facility, name and contact information, and it has a whole description of what log rolling is and how it's an aquatics activity that you're now introducing, and you can just send that right out to different news stations or newspapers in your community, so that they can come give it a try and help you get the word out, not only about your program, but about your facility in general, especially for those of you who are maybe adding log rolling right at a time where you have either just done a renovation or have built a new facility, and you're trying to show your community, all the good work that you're doing. And this is a great pull to get them there to try it. If you are going to offer classes, it's really great to have those on the schedule, at least, even if it's in the future, for when you do some of these try it sessions, or inviting media to come, so that they can, again, get the word out for you, and so that people know what's going to be offered, and that they sign up right there, or they at least, it's in their mind, okay, I really like this, I had a good experience, I want to sign up for a class. So it's helpful to kind of have those all lined up when you're first starting. And then another way, again, to get more people in the door, is to invite other groups. So whether that's like a staff group, swim teams, talk to the swim coaches and say, hey, we're offering this new aquatics activity. Could you set aside 20 minutes at the end of swim practice, and we could have all the kids give it a try? Then they go home, they tell their parents or their siblings, hey, I tried log rolling, and then they want to sign up for classes as well. Another group would be like aqua fitness classes, have them give it a try. Any swim lesson participants, it's really great also for like those older swim lesson participants, sort of a carrot at the end. Hey, if the lesson goes well today, we can all try log rolling. So talk to some of the other groups at the aquatics facility and just see if you can kind of sneak log rolling into some of the things that they're doing, again, to give everyone a taste of it. Let's see if I can. Okay. Okay. No, I just kind of briefly spoke about this, but so getting the word out, that's a really important thing, is marketing and promoting your program. Again, like I said, new people aren't necessarily aware of it or searching for it yet, but once they see it, they really want to come try it. we have so many instances. I just took this screenshot of a video of, again, the local news program that was featuring log rolling. So they love to share it. Post on social media, log rolling. The visuals are great. It's like, I hate to say clickbait, but it's sort of great clickbait. We have sample posts and if you're just starting out, you haven't done it yet, maybe you don't have the photographs. Well, so we have some sample posts and photos like all ready to go for you that you can use and send to if you have a specific social media director, or we know you guys are busy as aquatics directors, and so we want to make this as easy as possible for you. We just have kind of like pre-written some things that you can share and post to make it super easy. And of course, all the old-fashioned things. So like putting up flyers with some photos around your facilities, getting emails out to members, and then getting it in your program guide. And maybe even if you don't have official like lessons to put in your program guide, just put a photograph of log rolling and say like coming soon log rolling classes, inquire at the front desk. Again, all the different ways to get the word out. I just have kind of the sample slide of different different examples of flyers and things that people have done. Also just different types of programming even that you can see. Some groups choose to have clinics, log rolling clinics. Some just open log rolling. You can see like Tuesdays at the pool, come try it. Some are, you have a punch card. Others are charging, $15 per person for a month-long class. So we can work with you also about, what is right for you to charge for classes for your facility. One just kind of general rule of thumb, I would say, is to whatever you charge for swim lessons or like a comparable program, I would just slot log rolling right in alongside that, and maybe even a little bit more if if you're really looking to generate some revenue, because it is such a unique thing that maybe you are the only one in your community offering it. People will pay a little bit of a premium for it, but if you want to just make it really easy for yourself and you want to make it easier for your members, log rolling. If you are the first one offering this, people don't necessarily have an expectation yet of like what they should be paying for a log rolling class. So I would say that I would do whatever suits your community and your members, and have it be, like I said, you can kind of almost make it really easy on yourself by fitting it right along, right in line with the rest of your swim lesson programs, and in terms of like the length of the lessons and the length of the session and the price. So that's a pretty easy way to do that. Okay. Another great thing to do, not only to get the word out, but just also for your program in general, and for if you're a parks program and you're not only a part of your aquatics facility, but you potentially are also part of the outdoor activities that are going on in your community. And log rolling is a great thing to add to community events. It's actually pretty easy to do. I'm just going to actually flip to the next slide here. This was a street event in Minneapolis that the Minneapolis Parks puts on, and the local log rolling club set up a inflatable pool right in the street. The fire department came and filled it up, and then they did log rolling demos all day long, and people came to give it a try. As you can see, there's lots of spectators. It really was something that people stopped along the route to check out. And then I would suggest, have a little table and sign up there for people to sign up for classes, or even other park and rec or other aquatics activities that you offer. Have all the signups right there as people are coming in to give it a try. It's also a great way to, if you are doing demos and not just like having your staff show it or something, you could it's a great way to collect emails. People just sign a quick waiver, they give their email, and then you can follow up with them afterwards about signing up for classes or rentals or things like that. I'm gonna just actually, oh, I guess I can't go back. Okay. We talked about this a little bit, or we did talk about this in our last webinar, but I just wanted to dive a little bit more into it just for community programs specifically. During the last webinar, we had a pretty wide audience. And so I thought if we could go over this again, more specifically in regards to, more community oriented programs, not just colleges and camps and stuff as well. We found that there is a sort of this continuum to log rolling programs, from play to instruction to competition. And I think it's important to know this because when you're thinking about those goals or priorities that we talked about at the beginning, this is sort of how you can choose what types of programs you're going to offer. If you are just wanting to have something new and exciting for your members, and you just want to stick within this playful realm of log rolling, that's great. But if you want to build on that and then offer classes or workshops, or even develop a little log rolling team, then you can start to dip into these other programming opportunities and start to offer those as well to kind of build this full log rolling program. And just to explain this continuum a little bit more, what I mean by play is just usually, here, I'm going to skip to the next slide. Usually, so for playful log rolling, it's definitely would say it's still staffed. You want to have a staff person there that's managing it, but it's not necessarily formal instruction. People aren't expecting, that they are necessarily going to have this skill progression. That it's more that they're coming to give it a try in the pool and have some fun, and do it as an all ages activity. Typically, I would say, yeah, it's mostly families coming in together. It's more of an open format. Participants might kind of come and go, and like I said, I would say typically free, just to get people in the door. But I would say you could kind of charge like a small drop-in fee if you're going to say, hey, Sunday afternoons from 2 to 4, we're going to have the log in the pool and we'll have a staff person managing it. And if you want to drop in and give it a try, it's $5 or $10 per person or whatever. Like I said, it could be, an activity also during like a teen night or a family night. This playful type of programming also could be more like an add-on to a pool party rental, where again, kids are just trying it for the first time. I would say that it's a pretty easy thing for like parents to kind of wrap their heads around. Okay, they're already renting the pool for the birthday party, and you just say, hey, for $50 extra or $100 extra, you can rent the log. We'll have a staff person there managing it for the kids, and that's a super fun way to get a lot of kids in the door giving it a try. I'm going to actually hand this off to Britta and just ask you a little bit about some of the more like kind of play-based programming that you guys did.
So when we were first starting to get the log introduced to the center, we had, right after our Saturday morning swim lessons ended, we would put the log in while kids were still like playing around after their lessons and parents were there. And we had like try-it sessions, like Abby mentioned. And so we also, again, had our classes signed up or open and ready for registration at that same time. We actually got a good amount of people registered for those classes. We did them in small sessions, like 4 at a time. Not too long unless you had more people registered for the class. We found that. Between 4 and 8 people was a good number for a single log, and 45 minutes gives people to rest in between, especially when you're new at it. You expend a lot of energy. So that was good. Uh, Getting that started up. We also use the log itself while it was in storage as free advertising. We stored it on the pool deck, right side up, chained to the wall, with a "What's this?" Poster right next to it, which explained what it was, the history behind log rolling, and all of the upcoming open rolling sessions, and all the classes that had availability that were coming up. I hadn't started yet. And it the rare times that I was in the lifeguard chair, I'd see people walk over or read it. There were a lot of good questions about it. So, and as far as other programming, and we did the add-on to the pool party rentals. That was really successful. We had Mom's Night Out, where we basically, like, all the moms groups came without their kids and did log rolling, worked up an appetite, and then went out to dinner afterwards. So that was a really good, fun event. And we actually did private lessons for a little bit. We did a handful of those. So it was just 2 people for 30 minutes because we offered it with alongside of our private swim lesson. So.
Cool. Let's see. I hope I'm not still muted here.
No,
You
you're
guys
not.
hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so actually, while I did want to ask, I wanted to go back, Britta, and just ask you also how, if you could talk maybe about some of the ways that you got the word out. I think I do remember that seeing a few like local news programs, or at least, or maybe in the like your local newspaper. I recall potentially seeing an article.
Yeah.
So I feel like.
So our county government has its own cable news channel, or cable channel, which I think most local governments do, and they're always looking for content. And they usually have their own production people. So that was the first one that we did, was the local government cable news channel, our channel 16, and it still plays to this day when they need programming for it. And then I had somehow Fox 5 for Washington, D.C., which broadcasts throughout that whole region, found out about that, and they came and used it. And then Recreation Magazine did an article for it. And this was when log rolling was really brand new. So yeah, all the things that Abby mentioned, we did it that way.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. Okay. So yes, I definitely recommend, starting out with this more just like play-based log rolling, getting people to give it a try. And then moving into more, formal instructional log rolling. Like Britta mentioned, that might be like smaller group sizes, 4 to 6 people per key log. I would say for this type of instruction, doing more targeted age groups. Log rolling is great because it is an really all ages activity. Families can do it together. But if you're offering like a really more serious learn to log roll program, starting with these targeted age groups, or if you wanted to offer like a family specific class so that people know that there's going to be kids and adults together. Those are pretty popular. And kids can learn as young, as soon as kids feel comfortable in the water swimming, they can start to learn to log roll. And even for those of you who are either, if you're like at a natural waterfront beach or have zero depth, really they don't necessarily even need to know how to swim. We have a lot of adult non-swimmers who actually taken log rolling as a class, because it's an aquatics activity that they can do and feel comfortable with. It's also a great way to make kids feel more comfortable in the water, or like the water more, if they don't love lap swimming, this is a great alternative for them. uh, for this for instructional, like just like anything else, I would, have specific times. I would recommend, either first starting out for a beginner class, probably once a week is enough, but once kids start to really like, get into it, they might be more committed to two or multiple times a week. As Britta mentioned, they thought 45 minutes was kind of enough starting out. I would tend to agree with that, but maybe if you're going to be offering like more of an intermediate class, for sure, getting into that 60-minute time length is enough. If you did develop like a log rolling club, those groups actually could even go 60 minutes plus. Especially once you get like teens and stuff that are getting more into it and treating it more as like a practice time. Um, for instructional classes, these are definitely, if you're looking to generate revenue, this is definitely, the area that you want to be in, to, have different types of classes. It's also a great way to get people coming back, as I mentioned, introducing it to the swim lesson programs. Well, once kids are, done with swim lessons, if they don't join the swim team or something in that age range, there's not a ton for them to come back to at the aquatics facility. They're not, really doing water Zumba or water fitness and stuff. So if those kids that did the swim lessons, if they're not, joining the swim team, log rolling is a great alternative, a great way to get them, keeping them coming back to the pool. So I definitely recommend, as they're about ready to age out of swim lessons, get them into some log rolling lessons to keep them coming back to the pool and keep them coming back to signing up for classes. You could also, just some other examples of this though, would be to, pair log rolling with potentially other clinics that you're doing. If you have more of an outdoor based program, or if you, do things like kayak rolling clinics, or, sup yoga clinics, water fitness. Log rolling is a great activity to pair with those, for a couple reasons. One, you because you can have multiple people using one key log, you could have, half the group doing, sup yoga or kayak rolling on one side of the pool, and then you could have, one or two key logs on another side of the pool, and people could be log rolling, and then you swap. So it's a good way to get, more people into that clinic, but still have, everyone's like occupied and busy and doing things at the same time. I love the mom's night out fitness. Another kind of similar thing would be like a log rolling date night, is a great way to get maybe those 20, 30-year-olds into the pool, trying something new together. And so, then having it be more like adult specific, because so many times, with your kids, like you go to do a family activity, but really it's all about the kids, and so the kids are the one doing the activity. So offering some really like adult specific classes is another really fun way, and a good way to kind of get investment and get, the adults and parents, they're going to be the ones that are like getting the word out, and hey, we did this fun like log rolling date night thing. Again, the word of mouth is so important. So getting some adult specific in classes or clinics is a great thing to do. Uh, you will start with these beginner log rolling lessons, but pretty soon, as soon as people take one or two of those beginner log rolling lessons, they're going to be wanting like an intermediate class, or more of a competition class, where they're really learning maybe more about, okay, how do I log roll with someone else, and what is the technique, and you're actually having little matches and teaching kids about how to compete in log rolling, and that's really where you might get some parents that are like, okay, we really like this, my kid really likes this, what's next for us, how can we keep going with this. They might form, we've seen here in Minneapolis, families that took log rolling to the park and rec or at the YMCA, or at the university, and they all wanted, more log rolling for the kids. So they formed a log rolling club, and now they, rent out pool time. So you might see if there's kind of a group of, parents or kids that are super into it, definitely encourage them that that's something that they could do. They could form a little class, and then they start to, they might be a separate entity, but they would maybe then be renting the pool, kind of like a swim team would rent a pool from you. And that's again, another great way to generate revenue and to get more people into the pool, because log rolling, it's not like lap swimming where you have to take up the entire pool. You could still have like a water fitness class going on, and also you get more use out of the pool by having maybe the log rolling club on the other side of the pool. So you just, again, getting more use out of the pool space. I know we have a few MWR programs on here, so I would say that for you guys, using log rolling as part of your command PT is a really great way to use, to get that fitness component in there, get people in the pool every week trying log rolling. That's a really fun way to, or just a new fitness activity to do with your groups, and also. Uh, Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. Doing the, shoot, what is it called? Okay, now I'm gonna move on from that. uh, let's see. Okay, so, or here's just, I just wanted to show this quick slide just so you guys can kind of see some more visuals of log rolling in different areas in the pool. This is of course a more shallow area of this pool, but they, from what I recall, they had kind of a lap swimming area, and then they had this smaller shallow water area that wasn't really being used much. So they could now have log rolling going on and swim lesson and swim team going on at the same time. This kind of, mid thigh depth is great for log rolling, but you can also, for sure, deep water, there's different ways to be able to get on the log in shallow and deep water. So it's really versatile to be able to use it in all parts of the pool. So speaking of, and again, I apologize for some of you who maybe were on the last webinar because I know we went over this. But for those of you who are new joining, I know that this is, of course, a question that comes up a lot, and that is about safety. So I say all the time that log rolling is a high perceived risk, but low actual risk. And what I mean by that is that you will find, and I'm sure you probably have this thought yourself, that when you first see log rolling, you immediately think, oh my gosh, I'm gonna, fall and hit my head on the log. I'm gonna, maybe knock out some teeth or something. But really, in reality, it's a very low actual risk, and I will explain why. But it truly does have a strong safety track record if you follow some pretty easy guidelines. So the reason why it's a low actual risk is that in reality, when you're log rolling, and you'll find this when you try it, is that the reason why when you're falling off, the reason why you're falling off is actually because your body is moving away from the log, not because you're falling down on the log. You're losing your center of balance, and especially for beginners, they typically fall either backwards safely into the water or forward safely into the water, as long as you have this safe fall zone. So that's the biggest thing, is making sure that you have enough space in front of and behind the people log rolling. As long as you don't have obstructions in that fall zone, it's not only a safe sport in terms of, we really have had, I've never seen like a head, neck, or back injury in log rolling, and that's really, in aquatics, that's really ones that you need to prevent, obviously, with no diving in shallow water. But it also is really injury free as well. It's very low impact because you are in the water and you're taking steps on the log. Every step that you take is minimized. So even if you were to maybe, kind of graze the log as you were to fall off, and it's typically as you get better that you fall a little bit closer to the log, that impact is minimized because you are in the water, and the spin of the log just kind of absorbs that impact. The worst thing that you're going to get in log rolling is usually like a scraped shin, or a bruise on your bottom. But it is important to, position it properly in the pool. So you want to have it, have the end of the log perpendicular to the edge of the pool, unless you're like in the center of the pool and you have a ton of space around you, of course. You are able to anchor the key log in the pool, and you can do that with a few ways. We have anchoring straps that clip to the either end of the log, and they're clipped into 2 points on each end, and they're all on swivel hooks. And then you connect either an anchoring line. If you have anchor points in the bottom of your pool, you can connect those to the anchor points in the bottom. You could also, if you have lane lines, I would say you could have one lane line, skip one, and then have the other lane line. And you can actually tie an anchor line just to the lane lines, and you can kind of set up your logs perpendicular to the lane lines. And this will allow, again, they're on swivel hooks, so the log will still spin, but it'll stay in place in the pool, so you won't, move close to the edge of the pool. And then another way to do it is that we do have like soft-sided anchor bags that you can fill with weight, and drop those into the pool, and kind of secure the log in place. I will say it's not obviously connecting it to a like anchoring point in your pool is going to be, or the lane lines will keep it not permanently in place, but it'll keep it, tightly in place. So the anchoring bags, there's a little bit of movement, but it's not like it's much more manageable. You can kind of, that the log isn't gonna pivot or spin around. The other thing that has not only made it safer, but of course made it easier, are the training fins that come included with your key log, a set of 3 of them, and they just slow and stabilize the key log for beginners, so that it just takes the edge off a little bit. The log doesn't just like spin out from underneath you. It allows participants to get their balance and get their footwork as they're first learning. And then of course, as they improve, you can start to remove those one by one for more challenge. And then as people, as you have new groups, you can, take those on and off really easily. Storage. Well, I loved Britta's really creative way to store and promote their program. But storing your key log, you can store it on the pool deck, straight up and down in a corner of the pool. You could like put a bungee around it. Some people I have seen have, either just kind of parallel alongside a wall or in little cradles. It's actually much easier to store than you think. It's not like, some kayaks or stand-up paddle boards that can kind of take up a lot of space. It's long, the key log is long, but it's not actually like super wide. So you can kind of tuck it behind things pretty easily. We haven't, I know that that's a big thing for facilities, is finding storage space, but I think that we've always figured out a way for people to store their logs, and creatively. Okay, going next to staffing. So like I said, you do not need expert log rollers. You can look to your existing staff for instructors. Your lifeguards and your swim instructors and your lifeguards and your swimming instructors will definitely come at it with a great lens of safety. So that's really great. They're already like accustomed to aquatics programming. But your fitness instructors, if you are at like more of a bigger facility and there's maybe yoga instructors or fitness instructors, they also get super excited about this. And so it might be a great way to kind of pull them into the aquatics department, because they, from a fitness standpoint, could get super excited about this. I think whether you do your training, with key log rolling, or whether you do it on your own but follow our steps, it is important to have some sort of training method for your staff, not just to like throw them in there and say, hey, figure it out. Because I think this really empowers them and gives them a sense of responsibility and ownership over the program. Um, uh, it also, if I know lifeguard turnover is a huge hurdle, so it's also a great way to give them more hours and to keep them coming back. And not just as a summer job, it might be something that they can do year round. We have kind of a step-by-step program for training your staff. And we really recommend that they review our written manuals, review the videos, then bring it out during an in-service. Actually, sorry, I'm going to go step back. One thing I would recommend is to, before you select your staff, do bring log rolling out during an in-service or during a staff training time, or just like, maybe a staff team building activity, to see who likes it, to see who's drawn to it, and then ask them if they want to be an instructor, if they'd be interested. You can kind of see who kind of takes to it and who might be, a good instructor who's, they're one, interested in kind of figuring it out for themselves. Two, look for people that are also interested in helping others figure it out, because they will be that'll be a good thing for them to have as an instructor. So once you've selected your staff, had them go over the manuals, the videos, try, done their own practice time in the water, then I would definitely recommend having them practice teaching another staff group before you unleash them into actually classes and that kind of stuff, so that they can get some build some confidence just doing those cues on their own. The reason why you don't need to have expert log rollers or even experienced log rollers, why they can become instructors pretty quickly, is because log rolling is a challenge, but it's not complicated. So when you think about some other activities, being a yoga instructor, you don't want to just do yoga a couple times and then go throw yourself in front of a class and try to teach a yoga class, or a tennis instructor. You have to be a really good proficient tennis player to be able to teach someone else how to play tennis. But with log rolling, they can learn how to hold the log, learn how to manage the class, learn a few simple cues, and they can feel confident offering log rolling as an activity to your members, whether it's at a special event or through classes or just this open play time. So Britta, if you wouldn't mind sharing with us a little bit about what you guys did to train your staff, and also how you found a really enthusiastic Pied Piper through some of your other programming.
So we did exactly what Abby has listed out here. We brought it out during an in-service. We saw who was interested in it. Of course, I had talked it up to the staff before, and there was one other person who ended up becoming the instructor who was really excited about it as well. So we would just practice with it, and then all the ones that have had teaching experience before, their American Red Cross, either LGIs or WSIs, or our own any teaching background, really, just because it's that fundamental that we used for this. And we then used the resources that Key Log Rolling had provided to us that comes with the log. There's YouTube videos that they have listed on their website that is basically step 1 through 3, and it was really easy to just implement it. Before we offered the classes to the public, the instructor at the time and I would go back and forth. We had our own teaching sessions. He would teach me, I would teach him. So and then we just tag team back and forth, because it's kind of helpful when you're doing something, obviously, to have someone else looking at you, oh, you need to scoot down a little bit more, bend those knees, make sure your feet are moving. to remind you of all the things that you need to do to make the session successful.
So, and didn't you had someone that tried log rolling during the mom's night out thing or one of your other programs and then
Yeah.
got super into it and became and wanted to teach as well?
Yeah, so we had probably at least 6 moms signed out, and there was always one participant that would come to them, because like one mom's group that would use it on a regular basis. But she was so excited when her kids started going to school. After I'd left and got the job that I'm doing now, she took over instructing the classes, and she actually they went and did competitions up at Rutgers in New
Oh
Jersey.
yeah, yeah.
And she did in 2019 did the first local competition, and we reached out to the other institutions we knew had logs and were like, come sign up for a competition. But she actually even opened it up to what'd she call it, butt rolling, where you sit and like ride it like a horse. You could stay on the longest. So, but she's a very good cheerleader for the sport.
Yeah, so definitely, again, so like that, if you see this is a growing sport, people are just getting into it. So, if you see that there's certain people in your programs that are getting really excited about it, maybe see if they would be interested in teaching some of the classes, or, parents, if they're already coming with their kids, we have lots of parent, teachers and coaches that they're already coming, so then they can kind of step in and help. And that's I've also seen like a lot of times where parents sign their kids up and they're like, well, or especially like moms are like, well, we're already coming, why don't we do it too? And so then you kind of get these moms groups. That's pretty fun as well. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up here. I guess I would just say the last thing is have fun with this. This is it's new for everyone. We are here to help support you. We want you to have a fun time introducing this to your community. I think that you will have fun. It draws a lot of positive attention. It's something really unique that you can, introduce and will kind of make you stand out within your role in your facility. And that's pretty fun. Just personally, is kind of being that person to bring something really new to the community, and fun, and something for all ages. So we really hope that you guys have fun with this, and we want to be here to support you. So I'm going to just take some of the questions here. Do we have? So I know one person asked, what would be a fair price to charge for classes? I think I kind of already talked about this with the swim lessons. Charging whatever you do for your swim lessons, or for some of your other water aerobics classes. It kind of depends on how you structure it, whether it's like a drop-in time, and it's just something that's open, people are going to come give it a try, and there's not necessarily like a like a full-length session. Maybe it's $5 to $10 per person, but then actually maybe Britta, I should ask you, what did you guys end up charging for some of your programming?
For the ones that we were kind of doing fake advertising for right after the swim lessons, it was whoever was in the pool at the time was able to hop onto it. But we did price it probably right. Our water aerobics classes are a little bit more expensive than the learn to swim classes. And so we priced it right at that same level, just because there was equipment involved, which is comparable to the water aerobics. There's that cost to it. So it's a little bit more, but not much. Open rolling sessions we started out at like $15 a session, but We found that we got more people and it ended up paying more in the end if they signed up for the classes. So it was just general admission to the building, or if you had a membership, you could use it for that too. With the way our agency is structured, we're we operate at a cost recovery that's generated through our fees and memberships. So it's a weird government that we don't get taxpayer money for. So one of the things that I had to do with my supervisors was basically sell it to them. The log had to be able to pay for itself within a certain time, which was successful because of the price point that it's at. It's awesome. I was able to pay for it in about 3 class sessions, which was about 6 weeks for us.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, so I think I'm gonna, let's see, we'll stop this. Are we, should we, let's see, should we open, does anyone have any, let's see, I'm gonna ask Maya, does anyone have any questions or want to share any stories of if you have a log rolling program or whether,
Abby,
I guess you could type it into the chat. Yeah.
they can, if they want to raise their hand and ask a question, I can unmute them if they would use the raise hand function at the bottom of the screen, or they can click on the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen and type it into the Q&A.
Okay. Looks like we're okay. Let's see, are we getting in? Looks like we are all set. Okay. Well, I hope that we, answered your introductory questions about log rolling. Going forward, keep an eye out for, we'll be offering, the next couple webinars are again more specific. We're going to be doing a summer camp one. If you have, if you offer summer camps, as part of your program, definitely join that, because there's some more specific things with like camp programming. And then we are doing a campus recreation webinar and a resort webinar. And then beyond those, we also will start to do some more specific ones with like how to put on a log rolling tournament, or how to put on a community event. And we'll kind of keep those a little bit shorter, but keep an eye out for more specific themes or topics. And if you yourself have some ideas for themes or topics, please share those with us, because we want to get that information out to you. And if you're wondering it, chances are other people are as well. If you have questions after this, shoot me an email. We can also schedule a time to do just like a one-on-one chat to, help you kind of get started, whether you already have key logs or whether you're like looking to get some. I'm happy to talk with you more specifically about your program and what you're trying to do. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. It was great to share this with you, and hope to see you on some future webinars, and hope to help you get log rolling this year. I said this in the last one, but I really think that, I know right now during this time after the pandemic and going into this next spring and summer, there are a lot of unknowns, but I will say that it also could be and so people are kind of hesitant to start something new, but I will say that this could also be a great time to start something new and introduce log rolling. And we had some really great success stories of new programs that started even last year, right during the middle of the pandemic in the summertime, and they actually had great success. I'm happy to talk with you specifically about some of those things. But I think people are itching to get out there and try something new. And I think that you can offer log rolling in a safe, socially distanced way. After this last year of crazy things happening, why not try log rolling? So you might get a lot of people back excited to be in your facility and trying out new things. So take care, everyone. Have a great weekend and stay tuned for more log rolling stuff.